Becoming an adult involves process. The first part of call is the physical changes initiated by hormonal signals from the brain to the gonads. Hello and welcome. My name is Olujoke Musako on Let's Talk, and my guest is Mrs. Ijeoma Igwesi, founder Family Matters. The topic before us is puberty. But before we delve into the program proper, I would like to remind you to please subscribe to our YouTube channel if you have not done so. And also remember to follow us on all of our social media platforms. Let's continue with this discussion. Please stay with us. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Mrs. Igwesi. It's nice having you here again.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so what is puberty?
Well, does puberty really have a definition? It sounds funny to hear me say that, but it doesn't really have a definition as far as I'm concerned. It's just a phase of life, a stage of life between childhood, a transition stage between childhood and adulthood, wherein the secondary sexual hormones begin to do some things, manifest their characteristics that show obvious changes in the life of the individual. So it's a transition phase between childhood and adulthood.
Okay, so what should parents expect when a child goes through this phase that you just explained?
Well, they should want there'll be physical changes. The physical appearance of the child is bound to change. It varies for both boys and girls. For the girls, you expect to see the breast developing, you expect to see hairs growing on the armpits, and you expect just a kind of the rounded figure, the feminine figure, that rounded shape of the hips begin to manifest. It doesn't happen instantaneously. It's a gradual process. Then also we talk about the menarche. That's the first menstrual cycle. And for the boys, you expect to see something like the deepening of the voice, hoarse voice, hairs on the face, just the hairy, the body hairs increase at that instant. And in all, you notice there's a rapid growth, change in growth. There's a surge in growth in stature of both boys and girls during puberty. These are the physical changes that parents should expect. There are also behavioral changes because each of those things, the hormones responsible for them, has its own features and characteristics. And whichever hormone takes the upper hand at a time manifests in different ways. The emotional withdrawal, some becoming more withdrawn, others becoming more exciting. It depends on how the hormones works on each individual.
Now, in the physical development, what is normal and what is not, and precisely at what age is puberty expected to start and end in the genders, male and female?
The average age for both males and female is 12, but puberty starts earlier in girls than in boys. For the girls, it starts between age 11 to 14. For boys, it starts between 12 and 16. That is just the general notation, but we should not forget there are individual variations. So that because we said it starts 11 or it starts 12, it doesn't mean it follows like that for everybody. Some people start earlier, some others start later. So whatever age your child starts as a parent, you shouldn't get worried until you have done the proper investigations to prove whether there's a problem or not. But the average age is 12, and the average stopping age again is around 16 for girls. But boys are not that way. Some boys continue puberty till age 19 or even 20. They're always later to start and later to stop as well.
Why is it so? Is it because of the human formation?
Well, it's how God made them. God made us different. And the hormones in us act differently as well. More so in some cases there may be hormonal disorder somewhere. That's why we talk, there's what we call the precocious puberty, and then we also talk about delayed puberty. So when those things come into play, it affects the timing, the starting time, the ending time, as well as the physical and other physiological manifestations. The normal one is starting from age 11 for a girl and ending at about 14 or 15. For a boy, it starts at age 12 and ends around 15 and 16. Then the earlier the premature puberty starts for a girl earlier than 8. That means by 7 or from 8, between 7 and 8, a girl going into puberty, or some even start as early as 6. It's abnormal. And for a boy starting puberty or going into puberty at age 9, age 10, it is abnormal. However, calling it abnormal is just because we have tagged some age flag, some period into it. Because many times when you go to do the normal investigations, physical investigation, laboratory investigation, bone age investigation, MRI, and the rest of them, you may discover that nothing is wrong with the child after all. It just happened that it started that way. It started that earlier. That is precocious puberty. On the other hand, if puberty is starting for a girl later than 14 and for a boy later than 16, it's abnormal again. But that as well may not really be something to worry about if all things have been checked to be okay. For instance, the diet. A child's diet can affect the onset of puberty. The kind of exercise a child engages in can also affect the onset of puberty. So before we call it a problem, before parents get agitated, make sure you have done all the necessary tests, both medical, physiological, psychological, physical examination. You've overruled every possible problem, or you have done the tests and you discover there's an issue. If after the test there's no problem, allow the girl to be. God created every one of us. The child may just be a special candidate.
Okay, does this let's quickly go on this break, and when we come back, we continue from there. Please stay with us. The program is Let's Talk on DNTWOK, and I've been speaking with Mrs. Ijeoma Igwesi, founder Family Matters. The topic has been puberty, and it's actually something we really need to flog or to discuss, because it's something that is ongoing and can never be out of our lives no matter what. So please stay with us as we continue on this ride. Thank you so much, Mrs. Igwesi, for standing by.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, before we went on that break, you actually made mention of precocious developments, precocious puberty, if I may say it that way. I would want you to please explain further on this precocious and delayed puberty and what parents can do in such situation.
Well, as I was trying to say before we went on the break, precocious puberty is just when the puberty starts earlier than normal, earlier than the average age or the perceived average age of puberty in a girl or in a boy. For a girl, if it starts before the age of 8 or 7, between the ages of 7, 8, or earlier than that, that is precocious puberty for a girl. For a boy, if the puberty starts between the age 8, 9, or thereabout, that is precocious puberty. And there are 2 types of this precocious puberty. You have the central precocious puberty, and you have the peripheral precocious puberty. The central precocious puberty occurs when there is a noticeable change in the physical appearance of a child. Earlier, see a girl of 7 having breasts, a boy of 8 years having Howard's voice, having, what call it, a mustache of hairs on the skin. That is a central precocious puberty manifestation. The sex hormones, the secondary sexual characteristics, they're impression, but the brain is not really involved. So as such, many times there is nothing to worry about. It is just the individual, that's the person, that's the personality that manifested. Then when we talk about the peripheral precocious puberty, that is when you think of the adrenal gland, which causes the testosterone in the boys and the estrogen in the girls to manifest or to develop faster. This is underlying process. So this peripheral one is usually given more attention. That is when we need to run necessary tests to be sure there is no tumor or something else happening somewhere that could have led to that.
Okay. Now, could you now explain or share with us the symptoms of puberty and their stages, if there are any form of stages like that?
The stages vary. It is not a flat something. If I have a daughter, but if I compare myself and my daughter, from what I know about myself when I started my puberty, the little I can pick and what I observe from my daughter, we are really different. We are really, really, and it varies from individual to individual. But I would say that from the first stage of puberty for a girl, you talk about from the age of 11, 12, the onset of menstruation. That's the menarche. Before then, at that first stage as well, is when we start developing breasts. It may just be a stub on the chest, but you see there's a growth, which some people misunderstand, really, when they are not properly informed. Then you also, as I explained before, you see also the widening or rounding off of the hips. That's the second stage, really. But the first stage is just the rapid growth, the onset of menstruation, and then the development of breasts. These are the first signals of puberty in a girl. Then for a boy, you talk about the enlargement of the testicles. Just discover that the testicle is somehow bigger than it used to be before. Then some of them will have acne on their face, just have some unexplainable acne rashes on their face, which get them irritated. And the second stage, you come to the point where their voice deepens. They now talk with kind of baritone voice. And also there's a rapid growth. But the rapid growth is more pronounced in girls at the early stage than in boys, because girls also stop growing faster. Earlier than the boys. These are some of the stages, the symptoms. Then later on in the pubertal stage, when you talk about the releasing of semen for the boys, they can be sleeping, start talking about wet dreams. The boy just wakes up and discovers that he has messed up his pants. That's towards the later stage of puberty that they begin to experience this.
So in other words, they are sexually active at this point, like not active, but they are sexually, awake.
Yes, they are sexually very, very much alert. The sexual hormones are really at their peak at this instant. Both the secondary and primary sexual hormones, they are really at their peak at this time, but in both girls and boys.
Now, I would want you to actually advise parents right now who have children who are already emotionally entangled with a classmate and probably gets depressed seeing the person play with another person. Basically, a girl seeing the so-called boyfriend playing with another classmate who is a girl, or the boys vice versa like that. I don't understand. I know that even at the primary AF school level, there are this issue of liking one person. It's something we all went through. I've been through it too. And, all your classmates are like saying, oh, this person likes you. That person likes you. And you too start feeling that way. How would you help parents whose baby or whose kids are going through this?
The first thing is, I would like every parent to know it is a natural feeling. If you find your child going through that, please don't talk down on that child. Don't make the child feel bad. It is natural. It is natural. It is part of the normal things that shows that the child is growing normally. To have that kind of feeling, there should be that attraction. There should be that attraction towards the opposite sex. It is normal. It is real. And we are emotional beings. And let me also warn that even the symptoms of poverty, it causes problem to some children because parents don't understand it. And then because the children are not free to express themselves, they get, it causes them to be depressed. And in a bit also, either the late or too early puberty also makes them to become depressed at times. So parents should understand that these things are natural. If a child is going into depression, or you find that the child is not happy, and you're able, because many times you may not even be able to find out what the problem is. If you're able to discover that it's because he's having feelings, take that child into confidence. Tell them your stories. Tell them you went through it. And assure them that it is normal. Don't criticize them. Don't blame them. Don't be too spiritual. Don't quote so many scriptures for them. First of all, empathize. Let them know that you went through it. Share your stories or the stories of other people that went through it. Then make them realize at that point that whatever feelings they have for the boy or the girl is just temporary. They have not gotten to the point of having permanent relationships. So even the feelings they're having at the moment ain't permanent. They are transient. They are passing. Let them know that with time, they will meet somebody else with whom they can have a permanent feeling for. But the major thing, the basic thing here is empathize with the child. Let them have that confidence that they are not doing something wrong, provided you are sure they are not getting sexually entangled with somebody. Feelings are real. They should be nurtured. If you don't nurture that feeling of attraction and likeness at that early stage, if you squash it or kill it totally, later in life, they may find it difficult to have feelings for anybody. So empathize with them, tell them your stories, guide them on the best relationship ways to relate, and be free and be safe.
Okay, now let's quickly visit the issue of teachers too. These ones are the first contacts they have as long as it is in school, because that's where they get to meet the opposite sex. What would you say the teachers too should do to actually salvage the situation?
The teachers should serve as both counselors and teach. Every teacher should have some element of counseling skills added to their teaching skills. You should counsel them the right way to go. The teachers should understand that feelings, romantic or love feelings for the opposite sex is real. They themselves went through it. So they come in to mediate to make sure they do not go, that the children do not go off balance. There should be a limit. There should be a limit of acceptable relationship. Provided the children are not going beyond that limit, they should be allowed. And at that point, that means the teacher comes in. The teacher understands what goes on. The teacher flows with them. The teacher listens and understands their language. The teacher learns their codes, because sometimes they speak in codes that you may not be able to decode if you don't flow with them. The teacher comes to the level of reasoning with them, discussing with them, talking at their level. And the teacher should be able to get them open up. Yeah, I'm having a crush on this person. I'm having a crush on that person. Teach them what crush is. Teach them the limits of how to be, to stay with the opposite sex. It's not just about academics. The teacher should also be involved in the emotional development and well-being of the children, because they get to spend more time with them than with the parents at home. Teachers should be counselors, counsel them aright. Don't automatically stop every form of interaction, but set boundaries, set limits. Monitor them to make sure they don't go beyond those limits. As long as they're not going beyond the limits, encourage relationships, provided it is healthy, it is pure. Guide them. That's what the teachers ought to do.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Igwesi. Do you have any final word?
Oh, the final word is that whether early puberty, late puberty, depression, having a crush, anything, the greatest thing a parent can do with a child is to bond with them. When you bond with them, they can share with you anything and they will be safe. I've seen children that did some nasty things, like somebody that poured Dettol on himself because he didn't know what puberty was. Parents should bond with their children. Before that time comes, prepare them. Tell them what they are going to see. Tell them what they are going to experience. Let them be prepared. If it takes them unawares, it becomes a big problem. But if you preempt them by bonding with them and teaching them, when it comes, they'll manage it better. Tell them also that others may start earlier, while others will be coming later. I've seen situations, some girls get depressed because all their mates have started menstruating and they have not. Parents bond with their children. Prepare them ahead of time. And when it comes and their behavioral changes come as well, learn to accommodate with them. Accommodate them, sorry. No, it's a transient, it's a passing phase. And when that phase passed, they will come back to their senses. And you turn out to be the best parent of the year, if there's something like that. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. It's wonderful having you, and thank you for your wealth of knowledge. Thank you once again, Mrs. Igwesi. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And thank you too. Yeah, thank you too for coming on the show. I beg your pardon. Yes, for coming on the show, because you're always watching us. And it's indeed a great privilege to know that you are always there to watch us. That is the reason why we are always here, to present you something that will be of value to you. And before I let you off, I would like to say feelings are real, but they must be checked. So, parents and guardians, teachers, please take note. And for you going through the stage right now, if you're watching, it's just normal and it's just a phase in your life. So enjoy the process and get the blessings later. Until next time, when I come your way again with another topic, I remain Olujoke. Bye for now.